and I would really appreciate it if you would stop Rob Taylor from blathering on and on.
Opinions expressed by talk show hosts, callers, or guests on the Rob Taylor Report do not necessarily represent the opinions of the hosting platform, subsidiaries, sponsors, or possibly anyone else on the planet or the known universe. From the tinfoil and lead-lined broadcast bunker on the beautiful southern coast of Oregon, it's the Rob Taylor Report. So strap yourself in. Your weekly political therapy session is about to begin. Ladies and gentlemen, here he is, the nearly famous Rob Taylor.
Live show right now, but I've got a couple of recorded interviews for you, and they're really good interviews. You're going to want to stick around to listen to them because these are people who represent the people of Coos County. These are people from the Bandon School District. I've also got an interview with Drew Farmer, Commissioner Drew Farmer, and we're going to be playing a couple of those interviews. That's, to me, is the only way you can really legitimately find out what's going on with your representatives is to ask them a bunch of damn questions. And having a podcast, and especially when I had the radio show, that was the best excuse I ever had to ask questions. I often give this reason why I started a radio show was because I always had questions for these politicians, and they would never answer you. But boy, you get them in front of a microphone, it's amazing. You can't shut them up. And so I love the interviews. I love the political interviews. And I want you to know that this is something that I do as an activist. And this isn't really my life. This isn't someone who is, this isn't something that is, just is the only thing that drives me in the world. But politics is important. And I'm not someone who's looking to garner fame and fortune from being an activist. I know there's a lot of people out there who think that you can do that. And on the left, they're probably right, because there's a lot of leftist activists out there who've made a fortune. You ask the people who did the BLM protest, peaceful protest back in 2020. They made a lot of money, millions and millions of dollars. But most of the people who are libertarians, who are conservatives, we don't make a lot of money as activists. And so that's why I appreciate that you tune into the show, that you give me as much support as you can. And I try to open up those lines between the people, the working people, the average citizen, and the representatives and bureaucrats who work in your government, our government. One of the things that I got to tell you right now, and this is why I'm telling you this story about the activism, is that, and I'm going to add this to the stage, is there's a meeting at 4:30, and I'll probably still be on the air. But if this, once again, I'm going to tell you, I'm not looking for fame or money. This meeting is more important than my podcast. This meeting is more important than you sitting here at home watching this on your laptop or your TV, whatever. This meeting right here is happening at SWAC. And I don't know if you guys watched the podcast where I covered the registered sex offender that they have hired at SWAC. And this gentleman has several victims out there, and he's still in contact with people who are under 18 or around 18. And I think it's just absolutely immoral that SWAC is allowing this person to once again maintain his position working with these young people. He's a registered sex offender. Well, today at 4:30, and like I said, I'll still probably be on the air, but I'm more wanting to get you to this meeting than I want you to watch this podcast. Why? Because you can watch this podcast anytime. You can watch this podcast anytime. But If you want to be a true activist, if you truly want to make your voice heard, if you want to be a citizen that's not going to take this crap anymore, you're not going to be a cuck anymore, then you need to get down to SWAC at this board meeting at 4:30 today. And they're over at Newmark, 1988 Newmark Avenue on Coos Bay. They're right across from Walmart. So instead of taking a left at Walmart, you take a right and you head over to SWAC. And the building is that first big building right there. That's where they all meet. That's the administration building. And they have a Zoom meeting. And of course, I don't have the link up anywhere else other than at the Coos County Neighborhood Watch and on my Facebook page. I wasn't able to get that up because I didn't have this post up as fast as I wanted it. So before I got to the interviews, I wanted to let you know that this is a very important meeting for everyone to go to and speak out against. You, if you're a taxpayer, you own property in Bandon, you own property in Coos County, you're probably a taxpayer. You're paying for this dirtbag salary. You're paying for the administrators who hired this dirtbag. You're paying for their salary, and you don't seem to have any representation on the SWAC board. So I would do a couple of things. First, I'd go to this meeting. If I wasn't doing this podcast, I'd be at this meeting. And hopefully Chris Castleman will give me a call during this meeting and give me an update, because I sent him a text and asked him to do that. But if you can get to this meeting and speak out against this sex offender. And two, consider running for the SWAC school board. Their board is up for re-election. I think they got 4 or 5 candidates up for election. You could take over the board if we could get enough people on there, enough people who, believe in morality, who believe in protecting children. Well, if you believe in those things, you might want to find a group of people to run against the people who want to protect this registered sex offender. And so after this meeting, you might want to contact the county clerk and register for the SWAC board members to become a member, to run for office. And I would highly recommend it. And I would recommend that you get out to this meeting. And this is why, once again, activism is more important than this podcast. Activism was more important than my radio show. And I tell people often, if I have to choose between the podcast and activism, I'm going to choose activism. Guess what? I had to choose that for the radio show. I could have gone along and kissed a bunch of Republican ass and been a nice guy and not questioned them about their questionable donations, but I didn't. And for that, I was canceled off of KWRO. I got canceled by a senator. I got canceled by the owner. And I don't care, because I always said I'm an activist first. And so that's why I'm telling you, if you can get down to this meeting that you can see on the screen is way more important than a podcast, because you can come back and watch this podcast anytime. So I wanted to get that information out to you as fast as I could, because I think that's very, very important. And now I want to get to an interview that I had with the superintendent of the Bandon School District and the chair of the board of the Bandon School District, David Hisel, and Shauna Schmerer. And I apologize, during the election, she has an extra ER at the end of her name, and I kept calling her Schmerer, and it's Schmeer, just Schmeer. And so Shauna Schmerer is the superintendent over there. Very nice lady. First time I ever got to meet her in person. She's received several of my emails and my texts when I either wanted public records request or I was complaining about someone riding their vehicle on the baseball field, one of those things. And so she's been really helpful, but I've never met her in person. She seems to be a very nice lady. I think they've got a pretty good superintendent. However, I wasn't happy with an excise tax that they passed on the board last month. And so I wanted to talk to Shauna, and I wanted to talk to David, who's the chair. And I wanted to find out the reasoning behind it and get a few answers on that. And this is about a 40-minute interview, but I think you'll appreciate it, because these people stepped up and did something a lot of politicians don't like to do. They were actually transparent. They were willing to answer questions. And this was only a 45-minute interview. And the reason it was so short is because, they're very busy people, and I couldn't get the time right so that we could have more than an hour. So I was very limited on the things I asked. So I will do a review, a follow-up after the end of this interview, but it was taped. Last Friday. And so I'm going to play that for you, and I hope you all enjoy. And where did you come from before you got into the
So I was in Washington State. I was a superintendent at Elmira School District before this for 14 years. And then before that I was in Central Valley School District in Spokane.
Nice.
Yes.
Very nice. And David, how long have you been on the board?
I joined the board without being elected because someone resigned in 2019, I believe. So I wrote, I had actually been talking to our superintendent at the time for probably 2 years prior to joining, and I was looking for the right entry point. And I was, studying and learning what it means to actually be a school board member, and would I be a good, effective member, and then the opportunity came up as Troy Russell's last child graduated and was leaving the district, and I think he was like, whew, okay, I'm done. Yeah. And it was kind of an immediate thing. So I took his spot after he left, and then was elected in 2020.
I've noticed.
We're
Are new people taking the place of the old people on the board?
I guess the point I was trying to make is, being on the school board's a challenge.
Yeah.
And I think there's, all across the state and even across the nation, there is a lot of attrition. We have had some turnover, some change. Unfortunately, we lost one of our school board members, Anthony Zanino.
Right.
We lost him to cancer, so there was a spot there. And we've had some other changes. So, our board has changed over the last couple years, like 3 members.
Yeah.
So you have 3 or 4 up for election. 5. You have 5?
Yeah.
That's huge.
So you have everyone that is in a odd number position, and then the two people that were not elected, John Sullivan and Brianna Hutchins.
So when they go up for election, do all 5 get a 4-year term, or are some staggered?
Some staggered.
Yeah.
So that
Okay.
way we never run into this again where there's that many
Right.
at one time.
Yeah.
Because that you wouldn't even have a quorum.
Right.
Right. That could be a
Right.
huge problem.
Yeah.
So after this election, things may be changing, because that's a huge correction in any board, 5 out of 7. You just recently, and this is why I wanted to interview you guys, is that you just passed an excise tax. And right now, taxes are hard to get through, and the excise tax wasn't one that you had to go to the voters. Would you tell the voters why you felt the need, and I'll let you both answer this, why you felt the need to vote on an excise tax, why you passed it, and what is it going to be used for?
I'll start. Do you want me to start?
Yeah, go ahead.
Okay. We're a rural school district, as you know. We don't have hundreds of thousands or even very many thousand. We have about 5,000 people in our district, roughly.
Maybe.
4,000.
In our,
Yeah, in our general district.
Yeah.
So, pretty small area, which is a lack of funding. Just to say it quickly, we get way less money overall than a large district would have. Like, whereas, let's say you're in Salem, you can pretty easily get 30, 40, 50 million dollars to build new facilities. We just don't have that luxury here because we have such a smaller base to spread the cost, and so we have some ailing buildings. We have services that are underfunded. We have salaries for staff that are underfunded compared to other districts in the area, and funding is like a major issue every year as we're doing the budget. One of our biggest jobs on the board is to have a balanced budget, and I believe from 23, 24 to the cycle that we're in right now, what did we cut? Almost 10% of our budget, and we're looking at massive cuts. Potentially I shouldn't even say potentially, because I think at this point everybody knows we're going to be cutting going into this next budget cycle.
Even with the tax.
Oh, yeah.
Oh yeah,
Oh,
the
yeah.
tax is going to be, in our opinion, a pretty small impact to our district overall. But to clarify, when it comes just to our buildings, our maintenance program, and our facilities, which is the only thing we could spend this money on.
Right.
Shauna had done her research, and I believe she could tell you, but I believe she was on a call or something where someone brought it up, or she found it somewhere, and she did her research, did her homework. She brought it to the board, and we discussed it. And considering the position that we're in with funding, it's like, how can we maintain our buildings? We have all these big projects that need to get done. We don't have the funds to do it.
Right.
We don't have any means to go get more to do it. So this seemed like a viable option. And the bill that we're talking about is HB, what is it, Shauna? SB 1036. It was passed in 2007.
2007.
We had no idea, honestly. I had never heard of it. I had no idea like how many districts are using it, how many districts are not using it. But we read through it multiple times, just like, is this real? Like, can we really do this? And so what the tax is for 24-25 is it's $1.63 per square foot for
Hello, I'm sorry that the wind just took out my entire internet. So I don't even know where I was at with the interview, but I'm going to play that interview again if I can get this set up here. I apologize for that. Living on the coast. That's the beautiful thing about living on the coast is you get to see all kinds of crazy weather, and hopefully we can fix that for us. Here we go. And where did you come from before you got into the
So I was in Washington State. I was a superintendent at Elmira School District before this for 14 years. And then before that I was in Central Valley School District in Spokane.
Nice.
Yes.
Very nice. And David, how long have you been on the board?
I joined the board without being elected because someone resigned in 2019, I believe. So I wrote, I had actually been talking to our superintendent at the time, probably 2 years prior to joining, and I was looking for the right entry point. And I was, studying and learning what it means to actually be a school board member and would I be a good, effective member, and then the opportunity came up as Troy Russell's last child graduated and was leaving the district, and I think he was like, whew, okay, I'm done. Yeah. And it was kind of an immediate thing. So I took his spot after he left, and then was elected in 2020.
I've known
We're
are new people taking the place of the old people on the board?
I guess the point I was trying to make is, being on the school board's a challenge.
Yeah.
And I think there's all across the state and even across the nation, there is a lot of attrition. We have had some turnover, some change. Unfortunately, we lost one of our school board members, Anthony Zanino.
Right.
We lost him to cancer, so there was a spot there, and we've had some other changes. So, our board has changed over the last couple years, like 3 members.
Yeah.
So you have 3 or 4 up for election. 5. You have 5?
Yeah.
That's huge.
So you have everyone that is in a odd number position, and then the two people that were not elected, John Sullivan and Brianna Hutchins.
So when they go up for election, do all 5 get a 4-year term, or are some staggered?
Some staggered.
Yeah.
So
Okay.
that way we never run into this again where there's that many
Right.
at one time.
Yeah.
Because that you wouldn't even have a quorum.
Right.
Right. That could be a
Right.
huge problem.
Yeah.
So after this election, things may be changing because that's a huge correction in any board, 5 out of 7. You just recently, and this is why I wanted to interview guys, is that you just passed an excise tax. And right now, taxes are hard to get through, and the excise tax wasn't one that you had to go to the voters. Would you tell the voters why you felt the need, and I'll let you both answer this, why you felt the need to vote on an excise tax, why you passed it, and what is it going to be used for?
I'll start. Do you want me to start?
Yeah, go ahead.
Okay. We're a rural school district, as you know. We don't have hundreds of thousands or even very many thousand. We have about 5,000 people in our district, roughly.
Maybe.
4,000.
In our,
Yeah, in our general district.
Yeah.
So, pretty small area, which is a lack of funding. Just to say it quickly, we get way less money overall than a large district would have. Like whereas, let's say you're in Salem, you can pretty easily get 30, 40, 50 million dollars to build new facilities. We just don't have that luxury here because we have such a smaller base to spread the cost, and so we have some ailing buildings. We have services that are underfunded. We have salaries for staff that are underfunded compared to other districts in the area, and funding is like a major issue every year as we're doing the budget. One of our biggest jobs on the board is to have a balanced budget, and I believe from 23, 24 to the cycle that we're in right now, what did we cut? Almost 10%
Yeah.
of our budget, and we're looking at massive cuts. Potentially well, I shouldn't even say potentially, because I think at this point everybody knows we're going to be cutting going into this next budget cycle.
Even with the tax.
Oh, yeah.
Oh yeah,
Oh,
the
yeah.
tax is going to be, in our opinion, a pretty small impact to our district overall. But to clarify, when it comes just to our buildings, our maintenance program, and our facilities, which is the only thing we could spend this money on.
Right.
Shauna had done her research, and I believe she could tell you, but I believe she was on a call or something where someone brought it up, or she found it somewhere, and she did her research, did her homework, she brought it to the board, and we discussed it, and considering the position that we're in with funding, it's like, how can we maintain our buildings? We have all these big projects that need to get done. We don't have the funds to do it.
Right.
We don't have any means to go get more to do it. So this seemed like a viable option. And the bill that we're talking about is HB, what is it, Shauna? SB 1036. It was passed in 2007.
2007.
We had no idea, honestly. I had never heard of it. I had no idea like how many districts are using it, how many districts are not using it. But we read through it multiple times, just like, is this real? Like, can we really do this? And so what the tax is for 24-25 is it's $1.63 per square foot for new construction of a residence in our district.
The school district.
In the
Right.
school district
Right.
boundary. And then if it's a commercial building, it's 82 cents per square foot for a commercial building in our district, new construction only, with a maximum cost of $40,800. Now, $40,800 seems like a massive number, but that would have to be like a 10,000 or 100
Square foot.
yeah, 100,000 square foot facility or something, because when we looked at, and this is all kind of hypothetical, but we had to consider like who's going to get affected by this? Who's going to be impacted? Is it going to be the Bandon residents? Is it going to be just people moving here? Little mix of both. Obviously, it'll be a little mix of both, because there are going to be current Bandon residents that'll eventually build a new home,
Right.
or maybe they'll build a new business. But that is, in our opinion, such a small percentage of who's actually going to pay this tax. So we thought the majority would be paid by non-residents that are moving into Bandon, who have zero current, ties to Bandon. Well, a lot of them don't have ties. They're certainly not getting taxed by Bandon. They're certainly not paying into our police force, our roads, our power grid, our school
Right.
district. But in this case, say they build a 2,000 square foot home, 2,000 square foot at $1.63, I believe is like $3,240 or something like that. I did the math
you're
earlier.
correct.
So
Yeah, it's about $3,200, and that would probably be about the average cost we were figuring up would be about $3,000 to $4,000 is
Yeah.
what we came up with. And the thing is that we are now watching this because you are the first of the herd in Coos County. Now, this is a tax that's used statewide by a lot of different districts, but here in Coos County, I believe the cities can do this, and I believe the schools can do this, and you're the first one to do this. So this is something that we're going to be monitoring through the planning department, because we want those questions answered. Who's paying for it? How much are you going to get? How much does it benefit you? And were there any deterrents, or was this a deterrent to someone doing developments? And that would be, of course, one of my questions. Were you worried in passing this that it would be a deterrent to new development, which would also, in the end, undercut your taxing base, because they would pay that $3,000 within a couple of years, right? So it would
Well,
be,
I have to go back a little bit to the first thing that you said. We are the first in Coos County.
right?
So we do not know what the real impact is going to be. But Shauna could speak to this more because you may have received the first payment already.
Not yet.
But we
Not yet, I checked.
So
Yep.
okay, so in order to do this, Shauna had to create a plan for the district of
Right.
exactly how the money would be spent. We're going to be the most transparent out of any organization with every single penny, every dollar that we receive, every dollar that we spend will be accounted for. It'll be transparent. The people will be able to see it, know what it went to. They'll be able to come if they want a tour. We could even show them in person. We're going to be accountable to every dollar.
Good.
And I think my general overall sentiment, and I shared this with you when we met a while back, is that we don't want to do anything that the people don't want.
Right.
We're trying to do the best that we can with what ability we have. And so if we find that this is a detriment to our community, if this does become a detriment to the district, we will quickly address that and we will look to eliminate it. And I think we could look back, and I know I could look back and say, you know what? We thought it was a good idea. We made a mistake. We were wrong. I don't think that's going to happen.
Yeah.
I think it's going to be a success. But if it turns out to be a problem, if it does turn out to be a deterrent, then we can certainly address it.
So, David, and here's, I'm a big opponent of property taxes. I hate having to pay every year for the tax for the property I've already purchased. And I've always said that if we were going to pay taxes on property, it should be like this excise tax. You pay the tax when you buy the permit. You're done. You paid your tax. So in essence, this would be the type of tax that I would encourage for property taxes. But in 2020, you guys passed the bond measure. And to be clear, bond measures are for building, levies are for learning. You know, that's the difference between the two is when you pass a bond measure and a levy. But you passed the bond measure in 2020 for construction, for repairs. I forget the other things that were in the bond measure.
Yeah.
How has that been since the 5 years that you have received that money? Because it was $4 million for the bond, it was $4 million of matching funds,
Yeah.
which is why it passed, I think, so successfully at 65%.
Yeah.
How has that been for you?
I think it was actually 76%, I believe, or 73%.
It was 65 because I
Was it?
just
Are you
checked
sure?
it. Yes.
Are you sure?
I am.
Okay, I'm going to double check your
You
work.
double check me, but I think
Honestly,
it was.
we didn't want to go for the bond in 2020. We
Okay.
wanted to wait. But the $4 million bonus that we were allowed to receive
Yeah.
if the community voted for the bond
Yeah.
made it to where we could not risk losing that $4 million kicker. So we essentially are going to get $8 million worth of work for $4 million worth of taxes.
You doubled your
spread
money.
over an 8-year period of time.
I thought it was
there
11.
was-
Wasn't it
It's
11?
10 years.
Well,
it's
it's
10 years.
Don't we have like 8 to do?
With the 4 matching, we actually have only have 4 years to do the 4 million matching, so we had to spend that first.
Okay.
And the 4 that we have left, we have up until that 10-year mark that we would do it. And I would say that was why I looked at this tax, right? Because this tax, you don't want to do a double bond. You know,
right.
that's a big burden because then that hits every single Bandon resident.
Yes.
This one, when I kept looking at it, and I looked at it way before I introduced it, I talked to people on how it was being used. Our facilities, I mean, we're doing the best that we can, but we live on the coast. We don't get Coos Bay just built a bunch of new schools. We won't be able to do that in our tax base here.
Right.
But yet I walk along, the beach area and I'm watching new houses going left and right, and not one of those plates are Oregon plates.
And they don't look like they're suffering for $3,000 for sure.
No,
I mean,
no.
these are $1 million
And that's
houses.
what I actually was looking at is like, this feels like the only way to get some of the outside traffic that's coming into Bandon to contribute to our community. And I know that it's gonna hit a few of our own Bandon citizens, and that's bothersome to me because that's not the intention at all.
Right.
But the others, it's like, that's the contribution. And I'll give you an example today. The RLIS, which is the rural low income school,
Yeah.
we get about $18,000. We don't get it now because the census here, because we have too high of an income here. Yet I have 60% poverty
rate.
you know,
Right.
and so
Yeah,
those are the types of things where, you know, I have, and it's great that, you know, we have tourism and I'm not putting that down because we need that as well. But we also need to make sure that we're keeping our buildings healthy and doing what we can do. We don't get funded by the state for structures. I love this one because you have to be transparent. You have to show, we had to have a plan in place before we could do it. It's only facilities. It can't go for salaries. It can't go for everyday maintenance. It goes for exactly for the things that we don't have any funding for.
Right.
And that was the only thing, and I like that it's one and done. So yeah, it might come on to, you know, an add-on to the house that you're buying, but when you look at it, it's not any more than if I wanted to upgrade on a new bathroom within the house I'm building. And it's lifetime. I mean, you can make changes and contribute to our school district in a way that I don't know how else to keep our buildings healthy and safe without doing this.
I was a coach in the elementary gym, and we're talking to Jim, what, 100 years, I think? Ted?
Yeah.
Yeah. and-
Darn near.
Yeah,
Yeah,
darn
it's
near. And you
the
could tell just
30s
by
or
looking
something.
at it, yes. And I mean, you can just see in the construction, this is old school construction here, and we were band-aiding it together then,
Yeah.
10 years ago.
Right.
So, yeah.
Well, back when you're talking, the roof was almost completely destroyed.
Yes.
The hoops were like dangerous.
Yes.
To, you know, like they were a
shaking
massive
from
danger
the
to your
rafters.
life.
Yes.
Someone is eventually going to get crushed. There was, you know, you'd have to put water buckets on the court at
Yeah.
times to stop the water, and yeah, it was just a nightmare to try to figure out how to deal with that. And we're kind of like triaging. Shauna's always doing triage with
Right.
our maintenance director.
And I don't know how much, like, we don't know how much we'll get. Will we get a lot? Will we get a little bit? Will it go like spring is great,
Right.
you know, winter isn't so great? So we'll have to look at, like, at a year's time, kind of be able to see what we can do, or do we save up because we know we have this big project that isn't going to be able to do. So those are things that we're looking at.
Well, that would be my having this type of tax is you really don't know what you're going to get because
Right.
it's so transitory. There are years when people are moving more than others because of the economy, because of the weather. You know, wildfires in California is probably going to drive a few of them up here. It's those
sure.
types of things. I do have to kind of switch it here. Because this is what I'm always curious about. This is the big thing. How much is PERS pulling from the money that you would like to use for the maintenance, the upkeep, the construction? Is PERS pulling from your funding? Are you meeting? Because I do know that they're supposed to get a certain percentage every year, and if they don't get that percentage, the district has to make up that amount of money. Is the school had to have
And
done
are
that
you
this
talking
year?
like PERS for retirement?
Yes.
Okay, I wanted to make sure that's what you're talking
Yes.
about. So, I think it's been in the paper for our state. So PERS and actually salary increases in this last year have gone up for every district.
Yeah.
And they're killing us.
Yeah.
They're really killing us. And the thing is like everybody, salaries have gone up, but up 12%. And yet, we haven't got any extra funding for that.
Right, I've noticed
Yes.
that,
Mhm.
right.
Yes.
And so, but that doesn't answer about the PERS.
Right. It doesn't really, it doesn't take from maintenance. The thing is I think you shuffle around, right? Because you
Right.
have a general fund money. Does it leave it short? Maybe it does. Those are why we are going out for something like this or going for grants to try to buy we got the ventilation done and our gym redone because we did a grant. We're always
Right.
looking for things that won't put a burden on our taxpayers, but still increase our facilities as much as possible. Because that is one area that is deteriorating faster than what we can keep up with. And it's an area that isn't funded.
Right. Well, I guess my question was that if they don't meet it used to be 8% guaranteed, and I think it's 6.3 now is the percentage. Have they met that, and has the school had to contribute to that funding? Has that
Yeah.
occurred?
Mm-hmm.
Yes. So that has happened.
Yeah.
Okay.
Mhm.
And like you said, I think that's been reported, but I wasn't sure if that has
Yeah.
affected
all of the schools? Is that affecting every single school?
I don't know what school it isn't.
Okay.
To be honest, I
because
really
that must
don't.
be.
It's pretty scary, honestly. We're in contract negotiations with our teachers right now,
Right.
and it's scary. We're very concerned. Shauna's, I know, getting the brunt of it, but I'm worried that we're not going to be able to pay them what they're worth, because
Right.
they're worth it. They're
Right.
totally worth it. We should pay them every dollar that they're asking for. But where is the money going to come from? And then it's the same problem we're facing with the buildings. It's just, where are we going to get this from?
Yeah.
I don't know what's going to happen nationally. And it's not the major source of our funding, but the Department of Education is going to be overhauled or completely eliminated. So what does that look like at the state level, and how is the state of Oregon going to handle this for school
Right.
districts?
Right.
It's definitely an uncertain future, and honestly, in some ways, deservedly so. There's been a lot of bloat, a lot of waste, a lot of administrative costs that probably should have never occurred. But we, as a district, are very fiscally responsible.
Trying
It's
to be
one of
for
the-
every penny.
It's
Well, you
one of
almost
the.
have to be by.
Right.
You have no choice.
You have to be, or you have to fake it until you get caught.
God.
Because you're going to get caught eventually. You're either going to blow
Yeah.
through money that you didn't really have to spend, and then
Right.
you find out, oh crap, we got to cut 20% of our workforce because we gave this over here and we didn't really have it.
Right.
And so when you get to your next budget cycle, you realize we ran out of funds. We can't pull it from anywhere else.
Right.
And
And communicating that to people that don't understand numbers but only see like you have this amount of money, why can't you? Well, some of it goes to transportation. It can only be spent on transportation.
right.
Bond money, well, why can't we use bond money for salaries? Well, you can't, because the taxpayers voted for these things to be paid for. It's like explaining some of those things. So like the teachers, and this is public knowledge, they're asking for a 15% raise next year. The only way that we could do that as a district is we would have to reduce staffing. I mean, people are expensive, and there's no programs that are gonna fill that void,
Right.
of that minus number. And so that would be the only way that we can do it. Is Bandon behind on the coast in some? Yes, we are behind in some of the wages, but we also give more in other areas. We give more in PERS, we give more in insurance. And so I think those
better
are the
days, better schedule, better
Yeah,
days
I
off in
think-
some cases.
Where's the
that's-
school rating? Where's your school rating in the state?
I'd have to.
And I didn't mean to put you on the spot with that question,
No.
but you know how Oregon is rated so bad as far as education,
Oh,
and I
man.
can't. And by the way, I don't blame either of you for this. Look at the standards they have eliminated from our diplomas. Our diplomas aren't even worth what they used to be
Right.
compared to another.
So I would say that we were above state average in every grade level except for 5th grade. That was a grade that we are really struggling with. So a lot of work is going
Is
into
it
that.
5th grade math being the worst.
Math and
Math
and
is
ELA.
the most challenging.
Yeah, so-
Because I remember in the state, you guys were fairly good, and I
Yeah.
knew this when we moved here. We looked at that when my child was going to the school, and my grandchildren, or my grandchild, will be attending. Not this year, but the following
I think
year.
high
so-
school is very hard because it's one test and they can elect to not take it.
Yeah.
And it doesn't mean anything, like it's not tied to going to college or trade
Right.
school or graduating, so they opt out. And so we don't get, we get 50% if that of our juniors taking it. So it's not a real great, I don't know, an indicator of how we're doing.
That must be frustrating as educators, though.
It is.
And it almost feels like the legislature is kind of undercutting your ability to know whether you're doing a good job or not, right?
Well, I think yes and no. So I think them telling us we're not doing a good job on their one test is incredibly insensitive to the work that's being done in schools, to where if they could see the ongoing tests that we do and the data that we use to see that every kid is making progress, That's what they should be looking for. That's the accountability piece I want them to be looking for
Right.
me. Is I want them to say, okay, Shauna, here's all your students. I want to see growth in every single student, not on our state tests that parents can opt their kids in and out of. I want you to show me that my money is being worth, every penny is being worth the kids that you're, coming
Yeah,
through your
yeah.
system. I want that. Like when they say more accountability, fine, but let me show you what you should be looking for, because that's what you're asking, right? The end product of our students should be that they can read, write, do math and have the history background and all this stuff. We shouldn't be focused on anything else. And I think that's the thing that worries me too with Oregon is Oregon, Washington, California, those areas of, as we do the administrative change, is we see states that dig their heels in, right?
Right.
And the federal fund money, there's a lot of federal funds that come to Oregon that then go to schools. Not just the titles, not just the RLIS, not just the USDA, because that's directly to us. But Oregon gets us, and if they hold on to, like, the DEIs, the diversity, and they don't want to get rid of that. They want to hold on to it. Well, if that's something that says get rid of or you don't get something, I think Oregon will put their heels in and say, okay,
Yeah.
game on. And then
Well, they're already doing it.
And
You
that
look at-
effect
yeah,
is
they're already
on
doing it.
us, right?
That is effect on you. It puts
Right.
you a player in a game that you don't want to be in, right?
Exactly.
We have no power to change
Right,
that either.
right.
It's like we're at the mercy of whatever
Right.
happens. The decisions that they make for us, we have nothing that we could mention it. But
We have a committee that is supposed to, an equity committee that's actually been passed, and the small districts, the Coos Bay and North Bends have to already do it because they're bigger, but we're supposed to implement it in September, and I'm dragging my feet because I'm like, what are
Right.
we doing with this committee? Like, what's running
Right.
past them, and what's the purpose of it? And no one can answer those questions.
Yeah.
I'm going to cut right here, double check my camera. This was good, by the way. That was really good.
I have about 12 more minutes and then I
Okay.
gotta go.
All right.
I've got a 3 o'clock, so
Do you?
I just gotta
Okay.
get a little prep for him.
No problem. What was my last question going to be on?
Can I backpedal just a little bit?
Are we
Yes.
still,
Do you
are we
mind?
still?
We're
paper
still
cutting?
going.
Yeah,
Okay,
because
okay,
he's
go
gonna cut through all
I'll
this,
cut
right?
through. I'll cut
Okay.
all, any of
I'm
the,
like,
this
where
stuff
we at?
out.
Okay. I think, I was talking about how scary of a situation we're in right now.
Right.
We could pretty easily make the wrong move, even with great intentions, and be put in a situation where we're not a functional district anymore.
Right.
The committee of people that we put together when we hired Shauna was a really great committee. There was, I want to say 10 or 12 people that were all involved in the hiring process. We had probably like 30 candidates. One of the major things that stood out with Shauna is that she wanted to make sure that she would get systems in place to take care of everything that we needed, and she was going to be very fiscally mindful, respectful of our community, and fully transparent. And for the 4 years that she's been here, that's all I've seen, and it's been getting better and better and better. Meanwhile, the funding's getting worse,
lower,
worse and worse.
lower.
So, we're getting really close to a place where there's not going to be much else that we can do unless we get some serious help as a district.
That was what I was going to ask you. The federal funding, if they get rid of the Department of Education, they're not just talking about giving it straight directly back to the states. They're actually talking about regionalizing it. Would that be better for you guys if they did regionalize that and gave it to, say, they took Douglas, Curry, and Coos and made that a region? Wouldn't that be better than just...
It all depends on the portions. So that's the only thing I fear is that if they're gonna if our students are gonna matter, it comes back to like summer learning. Summer learning, we had a complete plan. We had zero unemployment that we had to pay, where like other districts, Corvallis had to pay millions of dollars of unemployment because, our classified can do that. We didn't have unemployment. We had like 80% of our elementary kids attend. We had like all these stats, and we never got any of the summer learning money that the legislators pushed hard for, because ODE decided who was going to get it in their matrix.
And who got it?
So when you look at this list, it was some
The
of the
bigger cities.
yes, and
Always.
or some of the schools that, like one we pointed out, one of them had only had 80 kids, but it had like 1,000 or so online kids. But part of their rule was that it has to be in person. The summer school has to be in person. So I'm like, how do you give that money to a school that's majority online? And so we had questions like that of like, but they
Right.
went off of more of the DEI kind of stuff of like, what ethnic backgrounds, what that percentage, what's your poverty percentage, what's
We're
this
going to lose every time. That's
Yeah.
not
Well, and
fair.
that's funny when you're talking about equity, and I know what everybody first thinks about.
Right.
When they think equity,
Yeah.
they probably think race and whatnot, but
Right.
it's so ironic. The most inequitable processes seem to be happening in the name of equity.
Right.
Right.
But it's like, it's totally not fair, and the rural school districts all over the state are all in this, almost all, probably in the same position as we are.
And Bandon is one of those places where we're unique, unlike Gold Beach, where Gold Beach looks like a poor coastal town. No offense against Gold Beach, okay? They've got a lot of problems themselves with their school district. But we're a pretty rich town, but like you said, except for the parents who have kids, most of those parents are the workers for
Yeah.
the more wealthier people who don't have children.
Yeah.
So the representation is you have poor kids in the school, but overall, this is a wealthier city because you've got so many retired, very wealthy people here.
Yeah.
So it's kind of a dichotomy of what you see in the town, of what you're really getting in the schools. And I don't think that it's reflective. You know, it just doesn't
Right.
seem fair.
Yeah,
Right.
it's so skewed. The numbers are
So yeah, so
Totally
going
skewed.
back to your thing, if it's regional, like how much is Douglas, Coos County? I mean, how much
Yeah.
are we gonna get, or is the big chunk of the pie gonna now go again to Portland and Salem and Albany? Like, is
Well,
it
and-
gonna be that way
and
again?
furthermore, will their decisions in Salem and Eugene and Portland essentially make it impossible to get funding for the rest of the state because they don't want to follow the president's guidelines or the
Right.
Department of Education's guidelines? Like, for example, OSAA, who's all of a sudden saying, well, screw the president's orders. We're not going to follow guidelines about boys competing against girls. We're going to give them the middle finger, essentially. And so whatever repercussions come down the pipeline are for things that, like, I'm not wanting that.
Right.
I'm not wanting them to make that
But
decision
you're
for
going to
my
pay the
girls.
penalty.
Yeah, but we're
But
going to
your
be
district
penalized.
pays the penalty,
Exactly.
and that's not fair. And here's the other thing I can see is the feds aren't going to be following the state's DEI guidelines, want to give more money to schools like yours, but then the state claws it back and say we're not going to backfill what we used to backfill because now you're getting money
Yeah.
otherwise.
And that was another thing about this tax, to bring it back to that tax.
Yeah.
This is a tax that they actually can't do that with.
They can't backfill
They
on
can't
it. That was the
backfill on
other.
it. Yep.
Okay, so I'm glad you brought that point up because that was another bonus.
Yep.
Because, like I said, people are going to be mad that you passed it. People are not going to
Well,
be mad, and I thought you
yeah,
deserved
I mean-
your explanation.
Right, yep.
I mean, in general, we all know taxes are like a massive black hole.
Yes.
We're seeing the fraud that's being uncovered
Yeah.
right now in
Yeah.
front of our eyes. You just look at the news every day.
Right.
Yep.
New department, new fraud, billions of dollars, even in the trillions of dollars.
Oh, the Social Security thing is.
And we're
the
just
ages.
scratching the surface. Like, we
Right.
haven't even got to the Pentagon.
Right.
Right.
We don't know what the IRS is
I
doing
know,
yet.
I
That's
know.
when people are going to die over those numbers. I
Yes,
think.
I
I mean,
think
I hate
so.
to say it, but
Yeah.
that's how big of
Literally,
a
I
deal
think
it
so.
is.
Yeah, we're talking
You know,
trillions of dollars, especially when you get to the Pentagon.
Mm-hmm.
And then when you look at poor rural schools and how much money is going to Mogadishu for
Right.
for diversity training, and you're like,
Yeah, I mean,
please, guys.
I would love it if this video made it to our president somehow,
Yeah.
or someone in his cabinet that could say, "Hey, here's a real life example of a district, and there's so many like us
Right.
that really need help. They really want to provide a great education
For all students.
for all students.
All
Right.
students,
We
yes.
really are focused on our students and our staff. We need more money for our teachers. We need more money for the rest of our staff. We need better facilities. We need money so that we can upgrade our technologies and
Yeah.
you name it, all the way down the line. And because we're in Oregon, And because we have the system that we have in Oregon, we're probably just going to get penalized until it gets really brutal for a while. I'm just trying to be honest of what is probably ahead for us.
I think you're right. I think it's going to get brutal before it gets better.
Hopefully somebody will see this and try to help us somehow.
I hope so. I want to thank you both for doing this. It takes nerve to do this. This is not something that's easy to do. And I'm glad you did, because there's a lot of politicians who won't do this. Before I let you guys go, anything you want to tell the listeners before I get out of here?
I say if anybody has questions about this tax or anything that this school district's doing about how we're paying for things or why we did it, please come and make a meeting and talk to me. I would love to show you how we're spending things, our idea of why we're spending it the way we're spending it, total transparency. There's nothing that we have to hide in the district.
Yeah.
We want to educate them on how and why we're doing the things we're doing for kids.
Well, thank you, David. Shauna, right?
Shauna.
And I have one last thing. I would just say that I'm currently the chairman of the board. I plan on staying on the board. I am going to run for re-election for 4 more years. It lines up perfectly because my oldest daughter graduated last year. My youngest will be a freshman next year. I plan on handing her a diploma, just like I handed her sister last year. So, I'm going to work really hard to make sure that we deal with all of these problems as best as we can. And really, Shauna said it earlier, we want to keep it focused on the students. Mm-hmm. They're the most important, they're the most vulnerable people in our world, and they're most important people in our world.
Right.
We need to protect them. We need to help them. We need to support them.
And that's the only reason we're here.
And without that, there's no reason for me to do this job. I don't get paid anything to do this job.
You don't make millions? Oh my gosh.
I make nothing.
Yeah,
in fact, I spend countless hours, and lose sleep and talking to her on the phone about problems. And, we're dealing with contracts and we're dealing with budget cuts. And, it is a challenge. And I love the fact that I have 6 other people on our school board that have given their lives to this cause. We don't all see eye to eye on every issue.
Thank goodness.
But as a whole, I think that balance. We're really focused on our kids and doing the best job that we can with what we have. So I hope everybody will get out there and vote for me to go another 4 years.
All right.
Thank you, Rob.
Thank you all very much.
Thank you.
All right.
Okay, and once again, I apologize for the internet cutting out. You'll have to blame Mother Nature. It was funny. I was sitting here and I'm watching the roof of my shed slowly blow off. So yeah, it's happening. That was a great interview. Thank you, Shauna. Thank you, David. I appreciate people who are willing to sit down and answer the questions. There were some pretty good questions. I wish I could have gone further into another subject, and that was the housing project that the school is involved with the city of Bandon. And that is something I'm also opposed to, but I understand why they do it, because the district is in a very serious situation. I was opposed to the excise tax. However, I wanted to hear why they passed it. And I wanted you to hear that, because I knew that our school system, because it's such a small school system, because we're such a small district, we are having a lot of problems. And it's not something that is just happening here in Bandon. It's happening across the entire state. Oregon has failed the children of this state. We have failed educating these children. That's why we're like 49th out of 50. As far as education, and we're behind New Mexico. Okay, I come from New Mexico. Most of those kids, they speak Spanish in New Mexico, and they're doing a better job of it than us speaking English here in Oregon. It just ticks me off that our state has refused to step up to the plate and educate these kids, give them a decent education, give them, and the best way to do that is give them choice. If we had more school choice, if we had more ability of parents to decide where to send these kids, I think you would have better school systems. One of the ways to do it, and we've talked about this before in this show, is to tie the money to the children. If you tie the money to the children and let the parents decide where they get to send their kids, you would find better schools cropping up all over the place. You would find the schools that already exist becoming better, more streamlined schools. And education is going to change massively in the next decade or so, just because of the technology that we're using. It's I don't know, and I'm not making any predictions of where it's going to go. I just know it's going to change. Change is absolute, and that's what's just compared to the way kids are educated now to the way we were educated back in the 70s, the 80s. It's just a lot of difference here. I'm going to put a couple of let's see. James Smith says that's a great idea. This video should be on our local news. At least start there. We knew not many. Who knew? Not many. And thank you, James. And you're right. Who knew? Not many. That's the reason that I do this. Part of the reason I do this show. I mean, like I said, I was an activist, and I deal with a lot of different political issues. And one of the best ways to get this information out was to do the radio show or to do this podcast. And people, they don't get this information from the newspaper. The World newspaper, it's just completely void of any real news. The Sentinel, I think the Sentinel is probably a better newspaper than the World newspaper, but it's very limited on what they can print. And with something like a podcast where I can have guests, where I can do interviews, it's pretty much unlimited what we can do as far as going out and getting this information. Because if I can't get politicians to sit here in front of me, well, it's good that I can go and sit in front of the politicians. So yeah, James, who knew? Not many. Brandy says, our other leaders could really take a cue from these two. They are willing to show up and explain themselves to critics. I admire that. I do admire that too. One of my favorite school board members is Carol Yardley on the North Bend School District, because that lady has brass balls the size of coconuts. Okay. Carol is someone who's not afraid to speak up. She's not afraid to make a stand, and she's not afraid to speak out against things that she's opposed to. And David's pretty good about it as well. I love watching him and Angela Cardis spar back and forth. I like Angela too. I don't agree with her politics. And I know David is good friends with Angela. I don't know her that well, but I do like to watch the sparring back and forth where they review the ideas from different angles. And that's very important when you're on a board. So I do appreciate it. I'm so glad that there are politicians who are going to step up. And I'm going to try to do more of these type of interviews with smaller districts and other school districts, because I don't think people know what the hell's going on there. So thank you, Brandy. I appreciate that. Nicole. Hi, Nicole. How you doing? That's exactly right. We are hopeful for this. Yep. Me too, Nicole. I will probably be seeing you this Friday. Since you're here, I might as well go ahead and throw this up on the stage. Here we go. I know you and Rod will probably be at the Citizens Restoring Liberty in Bandon on Friday, and they're going to be having a Coos integrity presentation. We have an election integrity group here in Coos County. Dr. Frank is helping them out, and they're going to be meeting this Friday at the Restoration Worship Center. The Citizens Restoring Liberty are having a regular monthly meeting. It's on every Friday, the last Friday of the month. And of course, it's February 28th, my favorite month. Yep. One of my favorite months, February 28th. That's because that's where all the great people were born. Lincoln and Washington. Yeah, that's all the great people were born in February. I think that's. I don't know. I don't want to be prejudiced against the other 11 months. But Coos Integrity is going to be presenting a workshop at the Restoration Worship Center on their election integrity actions that they have been doing. They've been making lists. They've been checking these lists against active voters, against phantom voters, and they're going to tell us what they've been doing and what they've been up to. And I can't wait. This is going to be very interesting. I do enjoy going to those restoration or the meetings at the Restoration Worship Center, the Citizens Restoring Liberty meetings. And Nicole says, she says, Noah Robinson will be there too. Yes, Noah Robinson, one of the best senators, I think is going to be one of the best senators in the Oregon legislature. Dennis Lithicum was one of my favorite. Art Robinson, Noah's dad, was one of my favorites. We still got Kim Thatcher there. She's doing a hell of a job. But Noah Robinson's going to be at this meeting, and I'm probably going to be filming my show, my podcast, my rant, my Friday night rant from or after this meeting, because they get out at 8 o'clock. So I'll probably start my podcast right there in the parking lot. If it ain't raining, damn that Oregon weather. And so it should be a pretty damn good time. I think if you want to learn what people are actually doing as far as the activists in this county, there are a lot of different activists. We got this election integrity group. We've got the neighborhood watch group. We've got the Republicans out there. They're doing their thing. There's a lot of different activists out there who are working on different issues around the county. So you'd be surprised. And this is just one of the places that you can find out more about Noah Robinson and the election integrity group of Coos County. And that starts at 6:30 in Bandon this Friday at the Restoration Worship Center. Thorn Kelly says, we have been shitting all over these people. They seem pretty reasonable. Thorn, are you talking about the two people that were in the interview, the superintendent and David Hisel, the chair? I don't know if people have been shitting all over him. I don't know what the response was. I know I wasn't happy about it, but if you vote for something that I think is controversial, people are going to criticize you on that. And so I don't know if anyone's been treating Shauna and David shitty. I don't think that's very fair, because you can always go talk to them. I was a little taken back that David and Stan Avery, who's also on the board, didn't contact me when they made this vote on the excise tax, because I sure would have loved to have been able to go to that meeting to talk to them about this. So yeah, I hope you people aren't being too shitty to David and Shauna. They're just doing the best they can. Let's see. We got to change gears here. I got a couple of other events going on. And before I go any further, I do want to remind you that at 4:30, if you're watching this podcast and at 4:30, you're in the Coos Bay area, you may want to head over to SWAC. They're having a meeting at 4:30. And I know there were a lot of people going to show up to talk out against the sex offender that they had hired there. He's a registered sex offender. He has several victims, young victims, people. When he was a teacher, he molested some girls. Molested, that sounds like as far as I'm concerned, he raped them. And I don't care if it was consensual or not. The fact that a teacher is having sex with a student, and I don't care if it's male teacher, female student, or female teacher, male student. I don't care. I don't care if they're the same sex. Nobody in a position of authority, such as a teacher, should be making those types of relationships with their students. And if this guy is already that works at SWAC, if he already has a proven track record of being someone who goes after people in their teens, then I don't know why they're allowing him to continue to be around teenagers. And he's around high schoolers, he's around college kids, and yeah, a lot of them are over 18. But I know if my daughter or my granddaughter was 18, 19, 20 years old, I still wouldn't want them to be around a teacher or someone in authority who has a proven record of being a sex offender. And I know people are going, well, Rob, don't you believe in second chances? And I do believe in second chances. I believe once he served his term, he should absolutely get back all of his rights. He should be allowed to own a gun. He should be allowed to vote. And I believe that. I know there's laws in certain states that don't allow that, but I believe he should get back all his full rights. And other than he has to register as a sex offender, and he has to register for sex offender for the rest of his life. But if he wants to go on and live his life, I have no problem with that. Where my problem is with a second chance is, do we give him a second chance in a school with kids that he has already shown a propensity for molesting or sexually harassing? Is that where we start? Maybe we could have this guy, maybe start out as a cashier at the grocery store. I don't know. Maybe he could work on cars. Maybe he could be a tire slinger. I don't know, but it sure as hell would be a lot better than putting someone who is a known predator, a sexual predator, in with young people. That's just, to me, absolutely crazy. So I'd recommend you get out to this meeting at SWAC at 4:30. It starts in about 20 minutes, and it's over at Newmark. And find out for yourself what's going on and speak out against this. If you're as upset about this as I am, you got to speak out. And by the way, the people at SWAC, the SWAC board, they already know how I feel about it. They, believe me, they know how I feel about it. So it wasn't no need for me to show up to that meeting. I was just hoping that a bunch of you might show up to that meeting and they could hear from new people about how disgusted they are about SWAC's decision to hire a sexual predator. James Smith says, he is a predator, plain and simple. There should be a lot preventing them from being among children and young adults. He is right where he wants to be. And that's just it, James. Yeah, he is where he wants to be. Why? If if I go to jail for robbing banks, the first thing I'm going to do when I get out of the prison isn't going to go and apply for a job at the bank to be a clerk. I don't want to be a bank teller. And I doubt they're going to hire me knowing, oh yeah, you used to rob banks. Well, Mr. Taylor, we'll go pound sand. You can go be a tire slinger. So I'm not sure why anyone would think this is appropriate for a man to be basically put in a candy shop. This is like taking a diabetic, you're putting them in a candy shop, and you're expecting some kind of good results to come out of this. I don't see it. I think it's a problem. I think it's a huge problem. Brandy says victims don't get a second chance to be who they were before they were violated. Predators should not have a second chance to go back to the exact situation they abused a victim in. Exactly, Brandy, exactly. Society wants to give them a second chance, like I said, for something else other than being put back with children. As soon as they want to go back with children, I don't know. We need to start looking at these people. Just the fact he wants to work with children, that really sends up red flags for me. I don't know about you, but it just sends up a lot of red flags for me. Tomorrow, I don't know if you remember this bill 762. This is the fire mapping bill. But there was a group of people who are going to be doing a protest tomorrow, 11 a.m. This is at the Oregon Capitol. So if you happen to be in Salem tomorrow around 11, you may want to head over to the Capitol and ask them to get rid of the 762, Senate Bill 762, undo. We're going to undoes it. And so they're undoing 762 at this peaceful protest. Hopefully it'll be mostly peaceful. I guarantee you, if these are private property rights activists, they're probably a little more conservative than the regular crowd. So I imagine that when they say it's going to be a peaceful protest, more than likely it's going to be a peaceful protest. Yeah, that's usually how it goes. And if it's not, I can guarantee you our governor, Tina Kotek, she will get her brown shirts and she will send them out after us. Let's see. I wanted to show you the website of the group who is putting this on. And let's see if I can find that. Oh boy. Now I can't seem to find Oregon property owners. Here we go. Okay, let me share this page. Momentum builds. Okay, here we go. Let me share this page here. If you can see that, there's a picture of the Salem White House. I mean, the Salem White House, the Salem Capitol, the Capitol in Salem. This is Samantha Bear. She's associated with OregonPropertyOwners.org, Oregon Property Owners Fighting for Property Rights. The momentum builds for repealing wildfire map as property owners fight back. And this is a pretty good article. You can go to OregonPropertyOwners.org and read this article and find out more about this group. Let's see, who are we? Let's see an overview. Who is this group? Oregon's planning system. Let me make sure you guys can still see this. Let me make sure that you guys can. Yeah, you still got it. Okay, this is the Oregon Property Owners Association website, Oregon's planning system. Oh, there's a gentleman I recognize. I think that's David Honeycutt. Am I mistaken? Yeah, let's see. Our mission at OPOA is to help property owners navigate this system so that they may realize their dreams and invest in their land. We help all property owners, from the Eastern Oregon rancher with thousands of acres to the husband and wife with a single family home in Portland. We may be working with a sophisticated developer on a larger project in the morning and a family trying to build a rural home in the afternoon. Most importantly, we do it all without charge. Well, that's beautiful. I haven't talked to David Honeycutt in a long time. He's an attorney, Dave Honeycutt. I haven't seen him in a while. He says, our pledge, this is the pledge from Oregon Property Owners Association. As a nonprofit corporation, when we choose to represent a property owner, we do so without charge. We're not a private law firm or government relations outfit. We're a nonprofit staffed by lawyers dedicated to helping as many Oregon property owners as we can at the legislature, in the courts, and through the media. We're passionate about what we do, and we're here to help. And that's a good thing. It's a good thing that someone is here to help. But I know Dave Honeycutt. You know, I've known Dave for a while, and he's not. When I knew him, he was registered as a Democrat, and I forget which was it. 1,000 Oregonians. I forget which group that he helped founded that turned into a really leftist group. Let's see. Oh, Thorne Kelly. She responds to my question. Noah Robinson is a predator. Oh, what the F are you saying? No. Noah Robinson isn't a predator. No. I was talking about SWAC. There's a predator at SWAC. I don't know how that, boy, I'll have to go back and watch the video and see how that dot was connected. I hope I didn't screw that up. No, Noah Robinson is a great guy. He's a great guy. Boy, I don't know. I'll have to go back. I don't remember saying that Noah Robinson was a predator. No, Noah Robinson is a great guy. Noah Robinson is a great guy. I was talking about the predator at SWAC. Let's see. What else do I have going on here? The Oregon Food Bank. We were just talking about the property rights group, the Oregon Property Owners Group, which is the group that helps out property owners. Well, there's another leftist group, and we always called them a leftist group, and they always said, oh, no, we help everyone. We love everyone. ELE, we love everyone. And that's the Oregon Food Bank. I don't know if you've heard about this recently. I've been watching this happen online. Here it is, Oregon Food Bank. Together we can end hunger. Yeah, okay. I can tell you right now, nobody's going hungry in Oregon. Nobody's going hungry in the United States. If go look, see how many people died of starvation. I mean, and maybe you could can attribute malnutrition, but no one's actually starving in America. People can get food pretty much a lot of different places in Oregon. And, there we have churches, we have charities, there are private groups who will help you out get food. So the Oregon Food Bank, they're doing a good thing by feeding the poor, but they also have a problem. They also seem to be giving a lot of money to the leftist groups. Let me see if I can pop this up here. You know how I show you how you can check things out on the internet. Well, this is, let me make sure it's sharing properly. This is the Secretary of State's website. Now, if you go to the Secretary of State's website, who is Tobias Reed, there you can see his name right there. You want to find out where people are putting their money? Well, go to voting elections and then scroll down here to campaign finance, transparency, and education. You click on that, and then you go to search campaign finance reform, and you can search by the name or use the drop-down menu to select election year, but we're going to do by name. And let's see here. Okay, this will give you on this left-hand side, you see where it gives you the public search, gives you different criteria. Go to campaign finance transactions. Say you're, like I said, you're looking for somebody. You're looking for somebody who's given a lot of money. Then you want to transaction information. If you got a specific transaction, you can use this to find that specific transaction. But if you just got a name, right here, you got contributor payee information. And as you can see, I've already looked up Oregon Food Bank, and you hit search. Oh, let's see what we get. Let's see what we get, because I love the searching here. It takes a few seconds, but anyone can do this. Anyone can go to the Secretary of State and check out and find out who's giving money to who. You know, maybe you got a neighbor and you think, oh, he talks a good game about Trump, but you know, who's he giving his money to? Well, you can find out by going to the Secretary of State's website. I should have done this earlier because it takes it a while sometimes to go through the search process, and you can find out, oh, there it is. There it is. Let's make sure that it's still sharing. Yep, the page is still sharing. Now, if you scroll up a little bit, you'll see contributor payee, and it says the Oregon Food Bank. Well, let's see some of the money that Oregon Food Bank, well, let's see the miscellaneous other disbursement. The International Brotherhood of Electrical Workers seem to be getting a lot of money. Look at that. Look at that. Look at all the money that went to the, I don't know why it's such strange amounts, 47.28, 48.43, 24.74, all this going to the International Brotherhood of Electrical Workers. And then you get down here, and as you can see, oh, the Oregon Food Bank, who do they give money to? The Multnomah County Democratic Central Committee, because they love everyone. They want to feed everyone. But they're going to give their money to Multnomah County Democrat, which is weird because I bet you they take money from everyone. I'm willing to bet that they take money from all kinds of people, but I'm also willing to bet that they don't tell the Republicans who give them money. I bet you they don't tell these Republicans who are giving money to the Oregon Food Bank who exactly they give their money to, because this looks like a shell game. I don't know how much money the Oregon Food Bank gets in grants or from other funding from taxpayers. I have no clue. But as you can see here, they sure do give out. What did they give to friends of Tobias Reed here? They gave a cash expenditure of $2,000. Yeah, they donated $2,000. Here's the other cash expenditure. This is a donation of $437 to the Multnomah County Democratic Central Committee. What a strange number. What a weird number. But you can keep this going down. Right to health care. That's another leftist group. In-kind contribution. I wonder what kind of in-kind contribution. You can go here. Let's check out what it was. Wages, salaries, benefits, other Oregon food. In-kind contribution. I really don't know. See, that's the problem with a lot of the bookkeeping at the Secretary of State's. You can go to the individual transaction, but a lot of times the transaction still leaves you to the point of realizing that it doesn't give you any information. Look at this. Oregonians united to end slavery. Oh my gosh. Thank goodness they're ending slavery. Boy, I've been wanting to end slavery for a long time. And I'm so glad that the Oregon Food Bank is giving money to this organization. I have never heard of this organization, but I'm willing to bet if I looked up Oregonians United to End Slavery. I'm just putting it out there. I'm willing to bet they're a bunch of leftist cucks. What can I tell you? That's just my opinion on this. Let's see, in-kind donation, cash contribution to Portland United for Change. Yeah, okay, cash expenditures, International Brotherhood, International. Yeah, they give a lot of money to democratic causes and leftist groups. Who's this Andrea Goss for the Tillamook School Board? Why is the Oregon Food Bank giving money to someone who's running for a school board? Look at this Jerome for Beaverton City Council. And by the way, all of these are Democrats, far left Democrats. So my advice to you guys is I know people, I know you want to be good people, and I know you want to give money and help out people who are in need, but you really need to think about who you're giving to when people come up to you willy-nilly and say, oh, we're from the Oregon Food Bank. Can you give to us? We feed the poor. Really, you feed the poor? Have you ever given money to any leftist causes? Maybe. So you got to ask them. You got to ask them. I go to the store quite often, and they will, you put in your card, and they will tell you, would you like to round that up for the Save the Gophers? And of course, you're looking at them. No, I don't want to round up. I don't want to give some organization I've never heard of Save the Gophers, and I'm just using that as a wild example. I forget the charity that they're doing that for right now at Ray's Shopping Center, where you go in, you make a purchase, and they go, oh, yeah, would you want to round that up and give money to some organization I don't even know? Why would I want to do that? It's not a lot of money. I'm just rounding up from whatever I spent. So I spend $50.50, and they want to know if I want to round it up another 50 cents to make it even $51. No, I don't. No, I don't, because I don't know where that 50 cents is going. And it doesn't sound like a lot of money, but you start looking at how many transactions a day goes through Ray's store. That's a lot of money that's going to go to this organization. And how do you know that this organization isn't funneling a lot of this donations that you're giving them to these leftist groups? You really don't have a clue whether this is happening or not. So I don't know. I just, I look at this stuff and I tell people, be very careful of who you give to, because there's a lot of people in need. You see these commercials all the time for the dogs, for the orphans, for the cancer kids. And I'm sure some of them are really good charities, but you got to check it out. And you got to make sure that once you give to these charities, that they're not taking your money and promoting extreme leftist endeavors. It's just something you gotta have to do. I'm going to be really controversial right now. I just gotta be. Someone sent me this to me, and this happened today in Tacoma. I'm going to add this to the stage. There was a group of people out there. This was 6th Street in Tacoma, Washington, on the bridge on the overpass there, and this is a group of people with a banner that reads White Lives Matter. And of course, I'm sure people driving by were going, oh, there's a bunch of racists. These are a bunch of fascists. Now, I look at that and I go, I don't know whether they are racist or fascist. I really don't care. I believe in everyone's right to freedom of speech. But I'm not going to make those predetermined judgments on this White Lives Matter groups. This is something that if you want to do, that's perfectly fine. And I don't think it's racist to say white lives matter. It doesn't mean black lives don't matter. It just means that these people believe white lives matter too. Maybe they should have put that on their sign. White lives matter too. TOO. Maybe that would have been less racist looking, because, they're going to get accused of being racist. I don't think it is. I think this is just a group of people who are trying to promote their white heritage, the culture of the white people. And I really don't have a problem with that. If these were American Indians up here saying American Indians' lives matter, okay, cool. That's really great. And the reason they're doing it, if they were doing it to promote American Indian heritage and culture, I would think that was cool. That's all right. I don't mind learning about American heritage, American Indian heritage. I think that's a wonderful thing. It's something I encourage my children to do, to learn about many different cultures. And I don't think there's anything wrong with white people who want to celebrate their own white culture. Of course, though, you do something like this, and they're going to call you all kinds of names. And I think it's sad. I think it's sad that people, the people there, they're just not understanding why this group would feel the need to go out there and put up this sign. And probably because for several years they were forced to feed on the Black Lives Matter banner all the time. Now, I myself, I disagree with Black Lives Matter, White Lives Matter, All Lives Matter. No, I think that it's up to me and you as an individual, every other individual has a right to decide for ourselves. We get to decide, whose life matters. We get to decide what matters to us. I mean, to me, there are a lot of people out there whose lives just don't. That pedophile we were just talking about over at SWAC, his life means nothing to me. I could care less. If he got hit by a bus yesterday, I'm so indifferent about it. I could care less. Good. Another less child sex offender around, I could care less. So, people who say, oh, all lives matter. Well, no, not really. Not to me. And I know I'm being controversial, and I know people are going, Rob, you can't say that. You got to say all lives matter. No, I don't, though, because I don't believe that all lives matter. I think does Hitler's life matter? No. So even though I have no problem with this group of people out there putting up this banner, White Lives Matter, like I said, it's up to the individual, and you have every right to freedom of expression. So I just hope that people don't take that wrong when they see that banner up there, because maybe you might want to stop and ask them, hey, what's your sign about? And they'll probably sit down and talk to you about it. James Smith says, I got a comment from him. He says the Bandon pool donations. Yeah, whatever, I know that they still have there's a group, there's an organization, the Bandon Pool organization. And from what I understand, all of those donations are still in the bank account held by this nonprofit organization. I believe it's a nonprofit pool organization for Bandon. And I just don't see it happening anytime soon. I just don't see that happening. Oh, let's see. What else did I want to put up here? Oh, good. Finally, some good news. Trump, I don't know about you, but I really, really, really have enjoyed getting up every morning and watching the news. Every time I get up and watch the news, it's like you can hear me cheering. Instead of cussing and cursing out the TV, no, I'm cheering now. And this right here, this was such a great thing. This was a beautiful thing. Joe Biden has lost his security access. Yes, there is no need for Joe Biden to continue receiving access to classified information. Yeah, you lost your security clearance there, Joe. Too bad for you. You're not going to be able to find out what's going on. You're not going to be able to sell that information to I don't know, whoever's buying it, China, Russia, Ukraine. I don't know. You're open up to the highest bidder, the Biden family. They're a bunch of whores. So they'll sell to anybody. But this was a great thing that Trump did. Trump did the right thing by taking away this man's ability to get security information. He shouldn't have had it even when he was president. Probably the least secure president we have ever had. I mean, the guy used to keep private top secret documents in his garage next to his Corvette. Remember? Yeah, next to his Corvette. That's where, right over in those boxes over there, Hunter. Yeah, put down the crack pipe and give me some of them documents over there. That one that says top secret. We're going to find out what's going on. Yeah, we're going to sell this one. And so, that was a beautiful thing. And I think I announced this on Friday, but I got to play this again because I just love this video.
Let the bodies hit the floor. Let the bodies hit the floor. Let the bodies hit the floor. Let the bodies hit the.
Yeah, Rage Against the Machine. That's a what? No, I don't think that was Rage Against the Machine. Who does Let the Bodies Hit the Floor? Damn, I can't remember the band. What a great video, though. It's a perfect song. Cash Patel, he made it through. He made it through last Friday. And I think there's a lot of people out there who should be damn worried, because I imagine he's going to be looking into all of those people who were spreading all that Russian disinformation, There it is, that word disinformation. No, they were spreading a bunch of lies about Trump, the hookers in the bedroom urinating on our President Trump. Yeah, I just don't picture that happening. I just don't see Trump as someone who's going to be bought off by, Russian hookers. He just seems to be able to get any incredible model out there. I think Trump would be a candidate to date, before he was married. I'm talking about, but he's got a beautiful wife. Why anyone would think this guy was getting peed on by Russian hookers? And then these same people who are saying this Russian dossier about Trump, of course, are saying, oh, that laptop that you found, that's not really Hunter Biden's laptop, even though it's got video all up and down this laptop showing, Hunter with hookers, with underage girls, smoking crack, smoking meth, doing his thing. And of course, that's not true. That's not Trump's laptop. I mean, Hunter Biden's laptop. And so, I think Kash Patel, I think a lot of people out there, you're going to be really disappointed. Yeah, I think he's going to be coming after you. And the thing about having Trump on every morning is that, like I said, you get the parade of leftist tears. You get their anger. Here you're going to love this. This was a great interview. Ilhan Omar, I believe. What the hell is this woman's name? I can't remember. Here she is. Oh, sorry, wrong one.
These people are just idiots. I really, I'm at the point where it's become really hard to have an intellectual debate with any of these people, because the level of stupidity that they are displaying every single day is frankly embarrassing, not just in Congress, but as Americans. And the fact that these people are allowed to say just the most ridiculous things tells you that the dumbing of the United States has arrived, because how else do we get a Trump presidency again? These people.
And of course, she's talking about Trump supporters there. We're a bunch of idiots. You can't have an intellectual conversation with us because we're a bunch of morons. And this comes from a woman who had to marry her brother so that, he could illegally immigrate to this country. Yeah, that's, I'll tell you what, marrying your brother for something like that to an illegal activity. I can't even believe this woman is still in Congress. This just blows my mind, but it really does show you what she thinks of you. They have no respect for us. They have no respect for the right. And, but it doesn't matter because it's our turn now. We got 4 years at the bat, possibly 12, a potential 12 years. I don't know. I'm salivating at 12 years, but 4 years without these crazy leftists in charge. That's a beautiful thing. And of course, the parade of tears. Oh, let me show bye. Like we're supposed to cry because these federal employees lost their job. Wow. How many federal employees cried for all those people who lost their job because they wouldn't get vaccinated? How many people cried because they'll bring in the Endangered Species Act, such as something on the spotted owl, and they'll put tens of thousands of loggers out of work? Did the federal employees cry for the loggers? Did they cry for the fishermen when the fishermen lost ability to go out and catch what they need because of all the regulations? Did they cry for all of us who live in rural Oregon, who we're having our life turned upside down because they're passing all kinds of rules and regulations, which is making it more and more expensive to live out here. And they just want us, people in the cities, just want us to pay for their lifestyle. They want us to be their playground out here in rural Oregon. Did they cry for us for that? I don't think so. So I'm not feeling too sorry for government employees. To be quite honest with you, you're lucky I'm not king of the world. I'd fire all government employees and hire back based on need. Oh, we need someone. Okay, we'll hire this person. But you're all fired right now. We're getting rid of all the employees, and we're just going to start from the bottom. I know people go, well, that would be such a disruption to the system. Well, the system is broke. System is broke, especially the justice system. It's broke. So who cares if there's a shock to the system? We need a shock to the system. We need something to change, and it needs to be abrupt. It needs to be immediate. We need to have the president moving as fast as he's moving right now. And hopefully this is happening in other states, because it's not happening here in Oregon. In Oregon, we're going farther to the left. No, we're going to find out not only how to put tampons in the boys' bathroom, we're going to find out how to force boys to wear tampons. That'll be the next. Then we'll have mandatory abortions for men too. That's where we're going. And I know you think this is, just me making up BS, but the president, he put this out today and I loved it. He says today, well, actually this was last Friday. I apologize, but he says today, I met with the governors of our great states, our beautiful states, and I won most of them. I won all 7 swing states, but I didn't win Oregon. I don't think they like me. We got a little problem there. Oregon, their governor, they have a governor. She's even worse than Maine, if you can believe that. So sad. She's worse than Maine. And even though it's a pretty liberal state, they have some good people there, a lot of good people. And we love our good people. We love them. And they all call her Tampon Tina, because can you believe this? She put the tampons in the boys' bathroom. Nobody's ever seen anything like it. It's crazy. Tampons in the boys' bathroom, but we're going to get them out. We're going to get them out of the boys' bathroom, and we're going to make Oregon great again. I hope so. But Mr. President, I don't know whether you know this, but most of the Republicans in the House voted for the Menstrual Dignity Act. Tampon Dave there, David Brock Smith, and many, many other Republicans, when they were in the House, voted to put tampons in the bathroom. So I'm not sure why you're getting all over Tina. I mean, rightfully so. She's one of the worst governors. And this is coming on top of Governor Brown. I didn't think we could have a worse governor than Governor Brown. But Tina, you won the prize. And of course, the president has commented on that. And I don't know why he forgot to talk about the Republicans, because he's got a lot of Republicans here. They're a bunch of sellouts. They're a bunch of yellow belly backstabbers. And we need to correct the party. But there are a lot of good people here, Mr. President. There are a lot of really good people here. And that's, I should send the president a copy of this show, maybe because, number one, he'll get to see that interview I did of the Bandon School District. That was a really good interview. I think Shauna and David did an excellent job of telling the story of the plight of our public schools in rural Oregon. I think they did a good job of that. I wish I would have had more time, because there was a lot more that I wanted to talk about. But I also think that the president should see maybe it's not just the Democrats here in Oregon. We have a lot of sellout Republicans. And if I could get that information to the president, that would be one of the bigger messages I would send to him. Don't trust the Republicans here in Oregon. Now, the party itself, the state party, just had a change of leadership. They got a new chair. They got a new state chair. I believe they got a new secretary, a new treasurer, which is all great. And I'm willing to give them all a chance, save for one. And because that one has already stabbed me in the back. So I'm willing to give most of the people in those positions, the chair, the vice chair especially, a chance to prove themselves. Jerry Cummings, he's from Columbia County. I know people who know Jerry, and they They say he's an all right guy. Then again, I've heard bad things about Jerry, and I'm not going to develop my opinion on the good or the bad things that I've experienced, that I've been told about Jerry Cummins, the new chair. What I'm going to do is I'm going to call him up and see if he'll come on for an interview, and we'll have a little bit of a discussion and find out who this Jerry Cummins is, who's running our Republican Party, because I think it's important. I'm going to get over to a couple of comments here. Let's see. James says, Drowning Pool is the name of the band. Yeah, boy. Ain't that the truth? Yay, Drowning Pool, 2001. Ooh, boy, you guys are really going back. Let's see. Let's get rid of that. What else did I want to talk about? There was something else that I really needed to. Oh, yes. You know, the wonderful thing about Donald Trump being president is that a lot of the media, the mainstream media, you know, the people who we used to turn to for our news, I don't know why, because they were lying to us then. They're lying to us now. They're even lying to us more so. Well, I don't know if you heard, but MSNBC has gotten rid of Joy Reid. They're joyless now over at MSNBC, but of course they were joyless before. They gotten rid of several of them. Lester Holt, I believe, is stopping. Lester Holt was he was the standard bearer for MSNBC, which isn't saying much, but at least he had a little bit of a streak of integrity in him. Joy Reid, she's just a downright obnoxious bitch. And I tell you what, I take a lot of selfish pleasure in watching this video. I don't know if you saw it, but I'm going to play this for you here.
Show had value, and that that what I was doing had value. And in the end, I try not to cry on TV. And I think this is kind of like me on TV, so I apologize. And then it mattered. I see Karen is there, and she's been texting me as well. And so what I will just say is that in the end, thank you. Where I land is that the moment of guilt that I felt, that I went hard on so many issues, whether it was the Black Lives Matter issues of a young baby or a mom or a dad that was killed, or when we opened up people's eyes to the fact that Asian Americans were being targeted and not just Black folks, or went hard for immigrants who've done nothing but come to this country like my parents did and try to make a life and defended them. Or whether we've talked about what the president is doing that is subversive to the Constitution, that is injurious to our liberty, defending books that people find inconvenient, that Nicole Hannah-Jones put into our spirit, that we need to understand 1619 as the real founding of this country, whether it's talking about any of these issues. And yes, whether it's talking about Gaza and the fact that we as the American people have a right to object, to little babies being bombed. And where I come down on that is I'm not sorry. I am not sorry that I stood up for those things, because those things are of God. And I'm a church girl too, and those are the things that I was taught were of God. And so I'm not sorry. I'm just proud of my show.
Yeah. Did anyone expect a lightning bolt to zap her as soon as she started mentioning God? I mean, I don't know. I hopefully in heaven, if they've got live streaming in heaven, we'll get to see the day that this woman, Joy Reid, has to go and meet her maker and explain why she was such a crazy bitch. Because I don't know, God is going to look at this woman. If there is a God, he's going to look at this woman and go, "Are you kidding me, lady? Are you kidding me? God, you brought me into this whole mix?" I don't think so. And but Joy Reid, here's your future, Joy. Yes, you're gonna be looking at working at McDonald's. It's a beautiful thing. So those liberal tears, oh, so delicious, so delicious. Love the liberal tears. Let's see, Thorn Kelly, Deadpool. You mean? Yeah. That's why I was confused. You are right. Yeah, Deadpool. No, it's Drowning Pool. Okay. Oh, Thorn Kelly, she got it. She says, "Oh no, I get it. I'm sorry. Yeah, don't worry, Thorne. I thought the same thing too, but yeah, it's drowning pool." Yeah. Let's see. What else did I wanted to cover before I got out of here? Oh yeah, this is something that relates to the interview that I had with the Bandon School District, and I want to add this to the stage. This is something that's once again the Trump team is doing. It says exclusive Education Department removes 2,300 plus web pages pushing woke propaganda from Biden administration. And that's what they do. You look at these books here. By the way, all of those books right there, if you can see that, let me make sure it's still live streaming. Yeah. Okay. If you can see those books right there, all of those books are available in most of our public libraries, North Bend, Coos Bay, and you can probably get most of these books in the libraries. In the school libraries at any of the school districts, you can probably find a lot of these books. And so, luckily, this is a good thing because what they should be focusing on is education. And that takes me to another video that I had here where we had a representative talking about what we were talking about with that interview that I did with the Bandon School District about how we have watered down our education system here. Not only have we destroyed the justice system, we have destroyed the education system in Oregon. And I'll just play this because she does a great job of summarizing the problem here.
This legislative body slashed graduation requirements by suspending the essential skills requirement because apparently basic reading, writing, and math skills are not required for students to be successful in school. However, removing graduation requirements was unsurprisingly detrimental to our students and devalued an Oregon diploma. The message is, no matter what, you will get a diploma. An Oregon diploma now means less to universities and employers than an out-of-state diploma. Removing graduation requirements deliberately put Oregonian students at a competitive disadvantage. I urge this body to reinstate graduation requirements so that a diploma in Oregon means something again. In 2021, this legislative body.
All right. And there you have it. And they know that there's a problem. They know that the laws they have passed have destroyed our school system. And that's why just get rid of all of them. Fire the whole entire bunch in the House and in the Senate. I could, other than those good Republicans in the Senate, like I said, Linthicum, Robinson, Thatcher, all of them, great people in the Senate over there. But most of them, we can get. Yunker is about the only one I would keep in the House. Just clear the whole room of all the Democrats and all those cheesy, squishy Republicans and just start over because they know they've destroyed the system. They've destroyed the system and they're not going to fix it. There's nothing they're going to do. There is no cavalry coming to help us here. And, you got situation like you just heard with the Bandon School District, where next year they're facing huge amount of cuts. This is even after getting the tax increase. They're still going to be facing a huge amount of cuts. And this is just sad. This is depressing. But I don't know. I don't know where this is going. Hopefully the economy will roar back with Trump doing what he's doing, but I'm afraid it may get worse before it gets better. And there are some economists who are saying we're going to go into a deep recession or depression. I don't know. I have no clue because these are the same economists who kept saying, hey, you keep printing money and everything's going to be fine too. So I don't know. I don't listen to the economist. Maybe that's the thing. Let's see. Brandy says the content of these books will get your Facebook account dinged for sexually explicit material if that gives you context. Yeah, it does. And in fact, parents would take these books, read out of the books at the school board meeting, and the school board would stop them from reading the books because it was too sexually explicit. The same school board that allowed the book in the school in the first place. It's just insanity. It's just insanity. And hopefully with the Trump presidency, we can bring back some of the sanity. Let's see, we're going to have a really exciting, like I said, Friday night rant this Friday. We're going to be happening at the Citizens Restoring Liberty. Let me throw that up here real quick again to remind you. Friday night, Citizens Restoring Liberty will be having an event. Let me throw this up on stage. There you go. This Friday night at 6:30 at the Restoration Worship Center. Please come out. I'm going to be doing the Friday night rant after this service in the in the parking lot. I don't care if it's raining. Screw it. I'm an Oregonian now. We're going to do it in the rain. That should be our motto. Do it in the rain. That's right. That should be the state motto. Yeah, do it in the rain. Just do it. No, do it in the rain. That's because it's always raining here. And if we didn't do it in the rain, we'd never do it at all. But you can do it if you want to do it at the Restoration Worship Center to check out the Coos Integrity endeavor that's going on. And this is Citizens Restoring Liberty, and Noah Robinson will be there. It should be a great time. So I highly recommend that you all check it out. And like I said, this Friday night rant is going to be pretty good. Let's see here. Before I get out of here, I got to play you a commercial because it's the most badass commercial you can see. And it was done by my sponsors. And they don't make commercials. That's why it's such a badass commercial, because they don't make commercials. So they don't follow any tried and tested procedures on making commercials. No, they cut down trees. You know who I'm talking about? 3H Tree Service. Tree Service, there you have it. And 3H Tree Service, if you need to get rid of any of those problem trees, you know, you got liabilities, especially in a day like today. If you got some of these big trees, I'm looking at my neighbor's tree out the window right now, and that thing is swaying back and forth. I would say that sucker's about 60, possibly 70 feet high. And if that thing was to come down, it would take out this whole entire room. It would take out this whole entire room. And I would be shitting pine cones for quite a while if that tree were to come down. So if you got a problem like I potentially have right here in my backyard, well, you can call 3H Tree Service at 541-294-1800, and they can come out and take out those trees with surgical precision. They are masters at taking out the trees. They even do micro logging. And I found out micro logging is for a smaller area. I thought it was for smaller trees. I thought micro logging was for bonsai plants. They go in, they take out your bonsai plants. And but no, micro logging is for smaller areas. If you've got a small area that you need logged, they can do that. They can do that for you. They can take care of it with, like I said, a surgical precision. And they are great at cleaning up after themselves. You won't even know they were there. They'll clean up after themselves. They'll take their mess with them and leave you with a beautiful view. That's my favorite part about watching 3H Tree Service. They go out there. They'll come out here to Bandon sometimes, and they'll be out there on Beach Loop, and they'll be up these trees, these trees about, like I said, 70, 80 foot tall, and they'll be topping those trees, and then you can see the ocean. Yeah, it's a beautiful thing. And then all those houses up there, they got nice views of the ocean instead of trees, because if they want to see trees, they just turn around the other way, and there's the forest right behind Bandon. It's a beautiful place here in Bandon. You got the ocean in front of us. You got the forest behind us. It's a beautiful thing, I tell you. And we need people like 3H Tree Service to manage those trees because, well, the federal government ain't doing it. The state ain't doing it. But if you need it done on your property, 3H Tree Service can do it. 541-294-1800. Give them a call. Ask for Matt Holman, and check out their new website by the same name or their Facebook page of the same name. Tom and Gigs. I'll be over at Tom and Gigs tomorrow. Yep, that's where I take my vehicles to get them repaired. He's going to be working on our brakes. We just need to redo the whole brakes, front, back. It's on my F-150. Yep. And he's going to do it. And I trust him doing it because he does it with such professionalism. He's got a very professional crew out there. They know the right end of an automobile. They can figure it out. They know the right end of a screwdriver, and they can figure it out. They do really good jobs there. They're professionals over at Tom and Gigs. You need your alignment done. You need struts. You need shocks. You need a new muffler. Tom and Gigs is your place, man. And the nice thing is that they are also the leading distributor here on the South Coast for RC cars. You need some RC cars. You need an RC car. I would recommend getting the RC, a remote control helicopter with your remote control boat, and we can go out on Mingus Park and we can play war games out there. That's what we should do sometime. I think that would be a blast. We get some of those RC vehicles from Tom and Gigs, those remote control vehicles, and we head out to Mingus Park, and maybe we can get some of that tannerite. They sell tannerite over there at Tom and Gigs. We'll get some of the tannerite, and we'll get a boat, a helicopter, a couple of those RC cars, and we're going to have fun over at Mingus Park. Okay, maybe not. That may not be we'll just leave out the tannerite. But you can go check them out at 135 South Shoneman Street. That's in Coos Bay in the Empire neighborhood. And if you know where the Empire neighborhood is, you know where the car wash is. Well, Tom and Gigs is right behind the car wash. And usually there's about a line of trucks around his shop because they're all getting worked on. Why? Because he's good at what he does. And people who own cars like me, well, we know we need to go to good people to get them fixed. Tom and Gigs. Once again, you can reach him at 135 South Shoneman Street in the Empire neighborhood, or give him a call at 541-888-4660. Once again, that's 541-888-4660. And of course, Herbal Choices for all your herbal needs. I highly recommend Herbal Choices. One of my favorite dispensaries, yes. And they got 5 stores. And remember, Herbal Choices, you can go to herbalchoices.com and find out more about the products they provide. But you must be, it's mandatory. You have to be 21 years or older, because you got to have a mind before you waste it. And you must be 21 years or older. It's a recommendation, and I think it's a good recommendation. And it's not just a recommendation, it's the law. It's a law. And they will ask you for your ID. Believe me, they'll ask you. I'm an old man, and they ask me for my ID sometimes twice before I even get to the damn register. So they're very good at making sure that there's no underage people in the store buying up on cannabis. It's all of us consenting adults. And I love going there and seeing all the other consenting adults now that it's legal. You know, we get to smile at each other. We don't have to hide. No, we don't have to hide because, well, we're cannabis users. No, we can actually hold our head high and go to Herbal Choices because it's a well-lit store with well-lit parking lots, and they got very intelligent bud tenders to take care of all your herbal needs and answer all your herbal questions for all your herbal choices. Herbal Choices, your best cannabis dispensary. And the nice thing about it is they got 5 stores. They got one in Charleston. They got one in Coos Bay, one in Bandon, south of Bandon. They got one in Reedsport and one in North Bend. Herbal Choices for all your herbal needs. And of course, Oregon Firearms Federation, fighting for your Second Amendment rights because nobody else seems to be in Oregon. In fact, the legislature, all they're looking to do is take away your Second Amendment rights. And if you want to promote or support a group that is actually defending your rights right now in court, several different court cases, they're fighting for your Second Amendment rights at Oregon Firearms Federation. Look them up at OregonFirearms.org. Sign up for their newsletter. And please, if you've got a little extra cash, give to Oregon Firearms because they're going to need it, because there's a lot of court cases that are going to be coming out of the legislature with the legislation they're passing. There's going to be a lot of court cases because that legislation is going to end up in court because Oregon Firearms Federation is the only no compromise group in Oregon fighting for your gun rights. And they're not sponsors of mine, but I like to mention them. Bandon Gun Club, find out more at bandongunclub.org, or Tioga Sports Park at tiogasportspark.org. Bandon.org, really good group. Volunteer if you like. If you want to help people learn how to become more proficient at their firearms, I believe that the Bandon Gun Club and at the Tioga Sports Park, both, they are accepting volunteers out there. So you can help people become better marksmen, better with their firearms, show them better techniques. It's a wonderful thing. It's a beautiful thing. And I think more of us should be doing it. I don't know how many times I see people who just don't know how to handle their gun. They want to be gun owners, but they don't know what they're doing. I see it all the time. It's depressing. Well, you can change that. They just recently had a lesson for women's self-defense at Tioga Sports Park. Maybe that's how you pronounce it. And I think more women should become proficient with their firearms. I don't think it's just men. I think women should become more proficient. And ladies, don't be scared. I'll tell you what. Women out there are really good at shooting. You would be impressed with some of the women who we take out shooting. They're better than some of the guys. And what can I tell you? That's a good thing. That's a beautiful thing. And everyone should become proficient at those types of things at their firearms. And I want to thank everyone who tuned in. I want to thank Shauna and David Hisel from the Bandon School District. And I didn't get to play an interview that I wanted to play from Drew Farmer, and that's because, well, we had that internet problem connection at the beginning of the show. So I lost that video. I'll have to find out how to bring that up next week. I may just post it on Facebook. I don't know. I really don't know. But join us this Friday. Join us at the Citizens Restoring Liberty meeting this Friday at the Restoration Worship Center at 6:30. I'll be there, and I'll be filming the Friday night rant after that meeting. It should be good. Maybe I can get Noah Robinson to hang around afterwards and shoot the shit with us. That'd be a blast. Noah's a really good guy. And like I said, I think I have high hopes for the man. I think he's going to be an excellent representative. He's an excellent senator. So far, I am very pleased. And well, until next time, folks, you know what I always say? Carry on, Coos County. Carry on.